I can guarantee you he's going to riff, so I may be watching the teleprompter with you. Listen, Donald Trump, credibility is always an issue if you're a Democrat in regard to what he says versus the depth and substance. But he's a master showman, and so he's the master of distraction. I think there's going to be some showmanship. The one substantive issue that I think all Americans are looking for is, what is he doing about Ukraine? Where are we at? Understand the blow up at the press conference and what have you. The European nations, Western European nations have stepped up to support Ukraine. But this is a deal that's got to be done. And either Donald Trump and the U.S. are going to be a part of it and lead it, or the European countries are going to lead it, who, in all fairness to Donald Trump, they really have the most at stake. But we got to be a part of those discussions because we got to be a reliable international partner, and there's some real concern in Europe about whether we are. Well, the border was under pretty much control towards the end of the Biden administration because of the executive orders that the Republicans have been pushing Biden to do, and I actually agree that we should have done and acted sooner. But my Republican friends here have talked about everything but the economy and the price of eggs and his Trump's commitment to reducing these prices, one. And then the big elephant in the room, forgive the pun, is Doge, if you will. Are they really being effective or not? Are they really savings or not? And that's the real question. I certainly hope he does, because he's thrown us into the middle of a trade war with our friends like Mexico and Canada and others. I don't have a problem with the tariffs on China because Lord knows they're cleaning our clocks on the level of trade between those two countries.
I'm with you there, brother.
But the reality is we're in the middle of this trade war. And there's not one economist that doesn't believe that the tariffs are going to cause prices to go up. Donald Trump promised that they would go down. And so I'd love for him to talk about this tariff strategy, because last time we put this many tariffs in place, we had the Great Depression of the 30s. And so I hope we're not going down that road. The key will be, how long do these tariffs stay in place until he gets compliance, or to Trump and America get the compliance that they're seeking? I mean, the whole issue of opioids coming across the Canadian border, that's less than 1%, at least according to statistics I've read. And so where are we going with this? As I said, Donald Trump is the master of deception, or rather the master of showmanship, if you will. He may have a methodology with these the threat of tariffs or the implementation of tariffs, but the real question is how long? All of those leaders that have come up to Donald Trump and come to kiss the ring, if you will, they're terrified of Donald Trump because they don't find us as a trustworthy partner. Now, being a maverick is important, and you can bring about change that way, but this isn't a technology company. This is the United States of America, which several other countries rely on us as a social welfare state. And the reality is that they're going to continue to rely on us unless we create a vacuum whereby the UK and other Western European countries fill that void. I don't think we want that, because I don't think in the end we want to be isolationists, notwithstanding the rhetoric of Donald Trump. We got 4% unemployment. We don't have an employment problem, quite frankly, and the markets are tanking for 2 days in a row. That's an important statistic, because if they bounce back, then you'd say this is a one-day story and the markets aren't concerned about tariffs. This is 2 days now. If it tanks to 600 or more, it's going to be even worse for our economy, which is something that Donald Trump promised the reverse of that. So watch the markets.
So we're definitely going to talk a lot about China tonight in the tariffs, not just being a tool for the economy, but also for national security, as Peter Navarro, senior Trump advisor, has stated. But Scott, I do want to get your thoughts. We're going to obviously be hearing from the president tonight. He's going to address the joint session as well as the nation. We're also going to be hearing from freshman Senator Alyssa Slotkin from the Democrat side. What do you anticipate that she is going to say, and what themes do you want her to be focusing on?
Well, I think she ought to focus on Doge. Whether you're fixing fraud, waste, and abuse, Democrats don't oppose that. We oppose how it's being done. It ought to be surgically done. It ought to be legally done. And instead of taking 6 weeks to get it done, it's okay to take 6 months, if you will, because we didn't get here overnight, and we're not going to get out of it overnight. And there's a big difference between programs that you don't like that promotes democracy and health and hunger, or feeding the hungry nationwide as our diplomacy, and just getting rid of it to pay for tax cuts in the future. You got a big tax bill that's coming up, whether it's going to be 1 or 2 parts. And so you got to really focus on whether Doge is a distraction or not. And then secondly, the economy and not jobs, but the economy and whether prices are going up or down. He promised it on the first day. I didn't expect it to change on the first day, don't get me wrong, but he's got a short leash because in 2 years, the way the Democrats get back some of their power is to take over the House. There's 7 races that they need to be focusing on no matter how much they protest. They've got to get control of one of these houses to be effective opposition to the Donald Trump machine.